Back to life, back to the 90s. Hey guys, it's me, Talia Arisa Gibson. You can call me Tag for short, and welcome to my channel. Have a good time. Join the fun, grab someone, wave those hands in the air if you dare. We'll have a good time, good time, good time. Join the fun, make some noise, ride that beat in your seat right there. We'll have a good time, good time. Like, comment, subscribe. Today, I have something special, y'all. As you've seen from the title. So this is the Back to the 90s challenge, and it's to show some love to the one and only Deboe vibes. So I know you guys are carrying Deboe vibes in your hearts and minds and keeping him in our thoughts and prayers through everything that he's going through. I appreciate his transparency and him sharing what he's going through, because we don't have to do any of that as content creators, but it may help other people. It may encourage and inspire other people, which I'm hoping that it will, and it has already. And so I wanted to do something to show some love to Deboe. Shout out to a friend of mine who helped me brainstorm the idea that I had and organize my thoughts and all of that. So I appreciate you so much. You know who you are. The rules are, of course, it's the Back to the 90s challenge. So you must wear or include something from the 90s. So you don't have to have an outfit or anything. You can put some stuff in your video that reminds you of the 90s. Your backdrop can be something 90s. Be creative and do however you want. The second rule is share an experience you've had or favorite thing that you like about Deboe vibes. The third rule is this one, you have to have it. You have to have a 90s topic. Yes, a 90s topic. It can be music, it can be the movies, whatever you want to talk about, but it has to be a 90s topic. Lastly, number 4, you have to tag at least 2 people. Now, I'm going to tag a special group of people, so it's going to be more than 2, but you only have to tag 2. All right. Now, as you can see, I have a meal here. You do not have to have a meal. That is optional. I will say if you do decide to have a meal, then maybe go through Deboe Vibes playlist, and I'll have it in the description box below for inspiration on a meal that you want to eat. And so that's what I did. He had a video where he was eating some lemon pepper thighs and salad. And so these are some chicken thighs. There's lemon pepper and other seasonings as well. I have a salad. And then this is mainly for prop, but I will take a sip for Deboe. But he always has his Bush beer. You don't have to have that in the video, but I was just paying some homage to Deboe. Like I said, again, the food part is optional, so you don't have to be a mukbang channel. Anybody can participate. Just have fun with it, however you want to do it. So I'm hoping that these videos, as they're kind of coming out, will continue to encourage Deboe. And so just keep them going as long as you guys can, tagging people and participating in the challenge. I think it'll be a good way to just show some love and also keep them encouraged and make them laugh and all those different things. Yeah, so as you can see, I have all these CDs here, y'all. Like, I was a CD person. Do you guys remember? I forgot what this subscription service was called, but it was a subscription service where you could buy CDs and get all these CDs free. Well, I was always buying CDs and then getting CDs free. Now, this is only just some. I have a lot more. I have I don't know. I would have to go through and count because I have some that I have stored in those CD cases that carry 100 or 200. I have to have close to 500 CDs in those. But I would have to count them to know. But these are all groups or singers from the 90s. And there's more. I just try to fit as many as I could on here. But hopefully you recognize some of them. And you can always share in the comment section down below what's your favorite 90s group or singers from the 90s. So yeah, we're going to say a prayer and get into this video. Dear God, thank you for this food I'm about to eat. Thank you for this day. I ask to be with my viewers. Keep them happy, healthy, and safe. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. So yes, guys, shout out to Deboe Vibes. At the end of the day, I just hope this makes you smile. All right, so we're going to get into it. Let me tell y'all about the outfit now. So I have my Back to the 90s hat, title of the challenge, Back to the 90s. I got the glasses. You got to get the bamboo earrings. What y'all know about that? And then the gold chain, and then my Boys in the Hood shirt. So yeah, I'm rocking the 90s. Like I said, you don't have to do the get up, but you can add some 90s touches. So I put the CDs out and all of that. So y'all, what y'all know about this? What y'all know about the boom box? Y'all, yes, I've had this since I was a kid, and still have it. I haven't tried to see if it worked or anything. It needs batteries in it, but it has a tape player. What y'all know about tape players? You know, those youngins, they don't know nothing about that. Growing up in the 90s was one of the best generations to grow up in. Like, I appreciate my childhood. I appreciate the music, the culture of the 90s and all of that. It was just good times. Let me get into this video while I'm talking away. And so like I said, you don't have to do a mukbang. Even if you're a mukbang channel, you don't have to do a mukbang. However you want to do it, just enjoy it and have fun with it. So a bite for you guys. So, like I said, I'm going to share Deboe's playlist in the description box if you want to get some inspiration, if you do want to do a meal. That chicken is good. So guys, so my experience with Deboe. So one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was because Deboe was the very first person that I did a challenge with. And as you guys know, we recently just did a collab with the Shrimp and Ain't Easy 2.0. But last year, we did the Shrimp and Ain't Easy challenge. And so I was like, you know what? Deboe reached out to me at a time we were both kind of like at a little bit of a standstill on our channels. And I just enjoyed it because it was fun, positive. And he really could have asked anybody else to do it. So I was appreciative of that. And so I admire his vulnerability and everything that he has shared with all of us recently, and just wanted to encourage him. Be strong. You have a support system, people rooting for you. And so let us know if you need anything. I'm going to run his Cash App across the screen and also put it in the description box below. He's still doing mukbangs, so if you want to spread some love and sponsor a mukbang or whatever you want to do, whatever your heart's desire, even if you just want to say a prayer or just participate in this, whatever you want to do, whatever you feel led to do. So really, that's my favorite experience with Deboe, is doing that challenge with him and seeing it come to life, as well as being able to hang out with him in Atlanta, along with some of our other content creators. And so it's always good to meet people, and it's refreshing when they are just who they are. And I will say, who you get on the screen, that is who he is. The funny thing about it, though, is like he's outgoing, but he's also not. He'll kind of tuck away and kind of be to himself a little bit, or go chat with the fellas or whatever it might be. So he's outgoing, but there's also that real chill, kind of just laid back Deboe. So it's always cool to meet people in person, to see, because you really get to know them even more and see how they are, just their mannerisms and all of that. So I always enjoy meeting people in person. Deboe, I'll say, just you sharing your story, we can help our friends be more aware, like our brothers, our male friends, and things like that, because the things that they don't think of sometimes, or they think might be something that can only happen to a woman or whatever it might be, they may not think of. And so what you're doing is like really spreading awareness and making people think, like, I need to stay on top of things. I need to pay attention to things. And I'm glad you paid attention to how you were feeling, and, you know, being a champion for the cause. And I'm just rooting for you. My 90s topic. That chicken is so good, I'm trying to keep eating it. Hold on, let me take a sip. If you know me, I'm not much of a beer drinker. I like wine and mixed drinks. But this is a cheers to Deboe. So it's not bad, actually. Like I said, I'm not a beer drinker, but it's not bad. It'd be good if I mixed it with like some pineapple juice. I just want some sweetness, you know? All right, y'all. So let's get into this 90s topic. So I'm going to be talking about 10 R&B male groups from the 90s. Now, I'm kind of starting from those who kind of started in the 80s and kind of going into the 90s. Now, there's a long list of others that I'm going to mention, but I'm not going to talk about them as much, because otherwise this video would be like an hour long, and I'm not trying to do that. But I may have to do like another video where I talk about those other ones, because those other ones I really, really rock with, and I would love to talk about them, but I just don't have time. So I'm going to say I didn't put New Edition in this list, but I am going to say New Edition is kind of like the pillar to me. I feel like when you think of like all of the other 90s groups that came along after, New Edition is the pillar. And so I really have to mention them, even though I don't have them on this list, but I feel like everybody knows like New Edition, that's a given. So number 1 is Mint Condition. Oh my gosh, I love this group. And I actually had one of the CDs. Actually, it's right here. Mint Condition. Oh my gosh, one of my favorite groups. I love Stokely, his voice. Like even now, Stokely's voice is just great. But they're from St. Paul, Minnesota. They were formed in the mid-'80s at Central High School in Minnesota. And so these were the members. It was Stokely, Homer, Larry, Carrie, Jeffrey, and Ricky. Carrie actually ended up with Toni Braxton and left the group to focus on marriage and all that. And then there were some original members who left the group, Roger, Ray, and Kenny. Songs that there's a lot of songs, but 2 that I'll mention today are Breaking My Heart, Pretty Brown Eyes. Pretty Brown Eyes. Ah, love it song. And then 1996, what kind of man would I be if I lived unfaithfully? Y'all gonna have to stop me from singing all these songs, because that will make the video much longer. All right, number 2, Boyz II Men. You have to mention Boyz II Men. Now, they're from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Shout out to Mukbang with Priscilla in Philly. They were formed in the late 80s. Now, this one I didn't know. Original group was Unique Attraction, and it was just Nathan Morris from the group with some other guys. But they formed that group at the Philadelphia High School for the Creative and Performing Arts. So the new name, Boyz II Men, kind of came paying homage to New Edition. From their album, their Heartbreak album, they had a song, Boyz II Men, like T-O, Men. And so that's where the group name Boyz II Men came from. So the members were Nathan, Wanye, Sean, and Michael, who had the deep bass voice. Michael eventually later left the group. I think he was dealing with health issues. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was definitely a health issue. But some songs. Motown Philly, back again. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Although we've come to the end of the road. Those are 1990s songs, Boyz II Men, iconic. Number 3, do y'all know this group? Guy. Yes, Guy. They were from Harlem, and then one member, I believe, is from Queens, New York. They were formed in 1987, but they had the great Teddy Riley. Like, if you know the 90s, you have to know Teddy Riley. Teddy Riley, Timmy Gatlin, Aaron Hall, yes. And his brother, Damian Hall, eventually joined the group. Now, this I didn't know. Teddy Riley was actually in a group called The Climates when he was just 12. He was kind of considered a piano prodigy, and he was in that group at 12 years old. Some of the songs, I like, I like, and then there's Groove Me. Did I sing that right? Something like that. And then there's Teddy's Jam, which it's iconic because Aaron Hall starts it with the jam, oh jam. Yeah, so that's Teddy's Jam. Guy was a group. Like, I love them too. Number 4, Belle Biv DeVoe. You gotta mention them. So Belle Biv DeVoe, they were formed Boston, Massachusetts, formed in 1989. They were members of New Edition, and they branched off into their own group when all the others started going solo. They decided to stay together. Their debut album was Poison in 1990. Let's see, how old was I? I was 8 years old. Ricky Bell, Michael Bivins, and Ronnie DeVoe. Belle Biv DeVoe. And some of their songs, I Thought It Was Me, BBD. Do Me, and then Poison. I think Poison's like one of the ones that everybody's always singing. Poison. That girl is... 5, Toni. First of all, I feel like Toni, they were so unique. Like, I felt like they were so different than a lot of the others. Like, they just had their sound. But that's mainly because of Raphael Sadiq. So they were from Oakland, California, formed in the mid-80s. Actually, the name was kind of a joke that stuck. They were playing around, and the name kind of stuck, and they kept it. Toni. You had Dwayne Wiggins. You had Raphael Sadiq, who was also formerly known as Charles Ray Wiggins. Those two were half brothers, I believe, and then they had a cousin, Timothy Riley. So songs, Little Walter from 1988. Hey, Little Walter. Hey, little water, little, something like that. That's how it started. Feels good, yeah, feels good. 1990. Do you know what today is? It's our anniversary. Y'all, Toni has some hits. Like, go back and listen. They had some hits. Lay your head on my pillow and just relax, relax. It never rains in Southern California. Oh yeah, they had some hits. When you go back and re-listen to stuff, you're like, man, they had some hits. Yeah. Number 6, oh my gosh. This was childhood crush for sure. Another Bad Creation, ABC. Another Bad Creation. So they were formed from Atlanta, Georgia in 1990. They actually used to perform like outside in the neighborhood in front of a salon. And I believe one of the ladies called her relative to come and check them out. I forgot what the dude's name is, but he got them going. And then based on that, Jermaine Dupri got involved. You know, Jermaine Dupri, Atlanta. So he got involved and somehow he got dismissed from working with them. And one of the guys, so the members of the group were Romel, Roro, Chris, David, Demetrius, Red, which was the crush, which I think all the girls love Red. You know, he had that side swoop haircut. Like, Red was it. And then he had a brother, Mark. His name, they called him Mark, but Mark. But one of the members, David, I believe, was Ralph Transvant's nephew. So somehow Jermaine Dupri got dismissed from the whole situation. They ended up going to LA, I believe, to go stay with Ralph Transvant. And that's how they got connected with Michael Bivins, which was like, everybody wanted to work with him, producer and all this different stuff. And so Michael Bivins is kind of given the credit for forming ABC, but he really wasn't the one. But songs like Playground and Aisha. I think everybody wanted to be Aisha from that video. At least the young girls did. But yeah, their story though is like sad to me, like what transpired and how they really didn't profit or get anything from all that work that they were putting in. And it's sad that they weren't taken care of in the industry. It's really sad. But number 7, Silk. Another Atlanta, Georgia band formed in 1989. They were actually discovered by Keith Sweat. Keith Sweat had some great songs, but when I tell you his voice, but he had great songs. Like, but the group was originally a quintet, so a group of 5. They had Timzo, Jimmy, Gary, which they called Big G, Jonathan, they called John, and then Gary, they called Little G, which you guys know with the bald head, short guy. He's kind of had that same kind of style even now. They had some former members in the group, Tyga Graham and Albert Allen. Don't know much about them, but they were former, I guess, early on members that were a part of the quintet originally. But they had songs like Freak Me in 1992, Meeting in My Bedroom. There's a meeting in my bedroom. It went up there. But that was later. That was one of those that came like towards the end of the 90s. But yeah, Silk, definitely, you have to mention them in the 90s bands or the 90s groups. Jodeci, Charlotte, North Carolina, formed in 1989. They began as 2 duos of brothers, so Casey and JoJo, and then you had Mr. Dalvin and Devontae Swing. Now, the thing about this is Casey and JoJo, they were raised in the Pentecostal church in a very religious like background. They used to sing in church, and that's what they were known for, singing gospel music. The same thing for Mr. Dalvin and Devontae Swing. They used to sing in their family's gospel group. So somehow, I think there was a girl that knew someone from both parties, and that's how they kind of connected, I believe. And so they ended up being the group Jodeci. So you have Casey and JoJo, you have Mr. Dalvin and Devontae Swing. Yes. So songs like Forever My Lady, and then Baby Won't You Just Stay, Come and Talk to Me, You Got Me Feeling. They had some hits too, y'all. Jodeci had some hits. Life stuff, now, you know, they went through some stuff, but they had some hits. Highfive. Y'all remember Highfive? Oh, Highfive. That group, it was just full of tragedy. Highfive from Waco, Texas. Waco is just an hour from me. Go down 35. Just an hour from me going towards Austin, Texas. But they were formed in 1989. Their debut album was actually produced by Teddy Riley, because Teddy Riley is a beast and a legend. A lot of tragedy in the group, though. So they had Toni Thompson, which everybody knew as the main lead singer, Roderick Pooh Clark, Marcus Sanders, Russell Neal, and Toriano Easley. I believe Easley was from OKC, from Oklahoma City. They had songs like I Like, The Way, The Kissing Game, I Can't Wait Another Minute. I like the way you kiss me when we're playing the kissing game. So yeah, but yeah, that story was full of tragedy. Toni Thompson died from an overdose. Pooh Clark just recently passed away, I think in 2019. But one of them was arrested and put in like a mental institution for taking the life of his girlfriend at the time or something. But still iconic group as far as, especially the song Kissing Game. Like, people still sing it and it's never going to get old. I hate that was their story. I hate when you hear about some of these groups in the 90s and you saw them on TV and you were so excited, but then you hear the journey. Like when you watch some of the unsongs and they tell their stories, their biographies, or whatever it might be, it's like, man, they were going through all that. But lastly, that I'm going to talk about, and then I'll mention the other ones because, like I said, I rock with all those other ones too. But this was another crush. I had to mention this one because it was like my childhood. I think they're all probably just 1 year older than me. But Immature, also known as IMX, but Immature. They were from Los Angeles, California. They were formed and produced by Chris Stokes, and there's a lot of controversy around that. But hey, they met in school at like 8 and 9 years old. Now, there was a former member, Half Pint, Don Half Pint Santos. So if you go back and you look at like House Party 3, they were featured in that, and they did some other things. Originally, it was Marcus Houston, Romeo, and there was Half Pint, and he was a little Filipino boy. So it turns out that apparently, this is just what people say. They say that his parents didn't like that they were out of school so much, because they were like 8, 9 years old at the time when they got started, and they were starting to become popular. So they didn't like that they were out of school so much. They actually ended up giving them tutors, but I guess that still wasn't enough for his parents. They pulled him out of the group, and they ended up getting LDB because he was already in the band as their drummer. And so he just became the third member. So you had Marcus Batman Houston, Jerome Romeo Jones, Kelton LDB Kessie, and then formerly you had Don Half Pint Santos. The songs they had were like Tear It Up, On Our Worst Behavior, The Munchies, I Will Never Lie Again, had Never Lie, Stay the Night was one that came later. So yeah, Immature, like they were just, had a crush on them, can't lie, just did. So yeah, those were the 10 that I wanted to talk about, but I'm just gonna give some honorable mentions because like if I had more time, I would talk about them in this video, but I might have to do it in another because these were all like, I listened to these people too. So I had H-Town, of course, Drew Hill, yes, Soul for Real, My Love, Candy Rain, you know, Next, yes, Next, Shy, Jagged Edge, Rough Ends, Profile. There was one, do y'all remember from Miami, Liberty City? As Yet. There's so many. And then I haven't even mentioned the girl ones. But yeah, so it's a lot. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Please put a microphone in the chat if you made it all the way to this point. But I want to say, these are who I'm challenging. So I'm going to challenge all of the Man Cave because I know that they've been a good support system and brotherhood for Deboe. Also CJ and Sharice, Real Ralph and Mika Boo, TNV Nation, Embry family, and Trippin' with Dre and Michelle. You all have been challenged, and anybody else that wants to join in, please join in. But please make sure you challenge at least 2 people. Tag Deboe Vibes in the challenge so that he can see when you guys are putting the videos out. I don't even really care if you tag me, but tag Deboe Vibes. I'm gonna have his playlist in the description box, and I'll also put the link to the video of the meal that I was inspired by. And so again, you don't have to do that. And so the rules were at the beginning. If you want to go back, I'll have the rules in the description box as well. I know I was talking this whole time, so let me take one more bite. I'm definitely gonna finish eating this off camera, but let me take one more bite. And one more cheers to Deboe. Cheers. And that's it. That's all, y'all. I appreciate you so much for tuning into this challenge. I can't wait to see who joins in with me. Shout out to Deboe Vibes. Deboe, anything you need, just know that you have people that care about you and want to see you well. And so shout out to you. Well, as always, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you'll know when I post. Until next time, love y'all. Bye.